Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Okay. Try to get into the chat, say hello, and let me know who's here. Robert. Hello, Robert. What I want to do today, Robert, come on, Mike. How you doing, Mr. Otterson? Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. Yesterday, I briefly went over the turnarounds, and we used single strokes, groupings of 4. And we're going to go over that a little bit better and slower. And then we're going to jump on to the turnarounds as groupings of 6. So you need to understand how to count the groupings of 6, doing a double paradiddle, counting the groupings of 4 plus a single paradiddle. Okay? So now, let's go back to what we did yesterday, the turnarounds. And I'm putting it on a drum pad so I could slow it down and you could hear me speak over the drums. Okay, so now, when I'm playing single strokes, and I'm going to do them slow, and I'm going to play about a half stroke position. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now at a tempo like that, you really don't need turnarounds because you have time to switch to the other hand. But as you journey into picking up the tempo, well, first off, that was a right hand lead, nice and slow. Then the left hand lead. I get off on this thing a little bit. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E, 4 E and a. Now, if I want to make the turnaround at that tempo, like I said, if I want to switch one measure from the right hand lead to going into the left hand lead, it'd be pretty clean because I have the time to make the switch. Okay, so I don't need the turnaround there. But as I up the tempo, see if I'm going here, I have to use a turnaround. Now, without a turnaround, listen to it. Sounds terrible. Hi, Jim. Okay, so now we have the right hand lead and the left hand lead, but as you see, as I up the tempo somewhat, and I don't make a turnaround in there, they sound terrible. So I want to make the transition clean. And I'm going to do it slow again. And this time I'm going to put the paradiddle towards the end so that puts me in position to nail the left hand lead. So I have 1 E and a, 2 E, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1, 2, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1, 2, 3, 4. It makes the transition a lot cleaner, okay? Now, as I pick up the tempo, find yourself a nice comfortable tempo where there's no stress or no tension to make that transition clean. The left hand's working a little bit better today. Okay, so you understand that so far? So now what we have, I want to start on line 3 because all line 1 and line 2 is just an alternating paradiddle. Okay? And if I go to line 2, I'm going to do it 3 rather. I'm going to do it slow. 1 E and that's what the right equals, and the left equals 4 singles with the left hand lead. So let's go to line 3. You have 2 rights, 2 lefts, and I'll do it slow. And I am tagging an accent on the downbeat. You got 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. Now you find a tempo that you feel very comfortable with, okay? And stay there for a while. Do it for 3, 4, 5 minutes. You have nothing to prove to nobody. The only thing you're trying to do is get better, stronger hands, and more control with the sticks. It's a simple pattern. And then that's line 3. Now, you hang out with line 3, you feel good with it, move on to the line 4, and then so on and so forth. Let me hang out with line 5 right now. Now, line 5, you have right, left, left, left. That's just, what you're doing is referencing where you're going to do the singles or the turnarounds, okay? So I have the first part. I'm going to do 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. It's 1, 2, 3 E and 4 E and now I'm in position now to attack the left side. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and You get that, guys? Okay, so that's kind of reviewing somewhat of what we did yesterday. Now I want to take it to I'm going to take it to a few other zones. I don't want to take the drum hit off, so I'm going to go right to the groupings of 6 and 4s. Well, it's only going to be 6. First off, you need to understand, and it's extremely important that you maintain the levels. And I'll get to that in a second, okay, Gerald? All right. All right. All right, now before I go to this double paradiddles, the question is, what is the difference between Stone and Henry Adler technique? Well, first off, they label it as Stone, they label it as Henry Adler, or the Adler technique, or the Moeller technique. All it is, that's what the guys, how they play. But in reality, like Stone and Stone and Moeller actually played the same, but they call it the Moeller technique, or the Stone technique, or the Adler technique. So let's address first what the Adler technique is. Now, you have to understand, you have the little story here. I kind of met Henry Adler a couple 100 times, and I also studied with a former student of his. And that was the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. See, Henry Adler was a commercialized entrepreneur kind of musician, okay? He had the Adler building. Now you have to understand, the Adler building was what, back then, was what Drummers Collective is now. So Henry Adler, because he put his name on he wrote the Buddy Rich book, he put Buddy's Rich name on it, made him pretty damn famous. And beside that, he had a high rise right in New York City. And when all the drummers from all over the world would come in and play a gig, say at the Blue Note or the Cornerstone or the Bottom Line or wherever club they were playing, and they were doing a week or they were doing 2 weeks, he would rent out space to them to practice. So he became pretty famous. Now, what he taught was not too cool because he was always in his eyeballs were made of dollar signs. So, for example, if I went to Henry Adler and I never had drum lessons ever, he would start me from the Buddy Rich book and first off, how to hold the sticks and squeeze the accents, which made you very tight, very not relaxed, all right? And you wouldn't be able to play for a period of time. For example, you're familiar with the 3-stroke rough from the Buddy Rich book. He would start off like this, a seesaw method. 1, 2, squeeze. Now you're bringing tension onto the stick. 4. Now, regardless if I ever played, that's where he would start me. Now, let's say, Mr. Otterson, you went to see Henry Adler. And Henry Adler says, okay, how long have you been playing? You say, 25 years. You know what he would do? He would start you here. 1, ouch, son of a gun, ouch, ouch. 1, 2, squeeze, for the same place. He'd go through the whole Buddy Rich book like that. He'll go through the syncopation book like that. And he'll go through George Lawrence Stone's stick control book with the sticks down like this and pinching accents. Each one will be a pinch because he said Buddy, because he wrote the Buddy Rich book and he had Buddy Rich on it. That's how Buddy plays. So everybody believed him and he made a fortune. And this is what pisses me off about these drum teachers today. Okay? So we put the Adler method aside, which is terrible. All right? Not putting anything down about him not being a good drummer. Okay? But that was his method of teaching. And after 4 years of doing stiff, being stiff, okay, what he would do is loosen you up. Now, let's talk about the next move, the molar and the stone. All right? Now, first off, come March the 1st, if you guys are not doing anything, I will put it on your calendar and say, okay, come to YouTube and visit and watch this particular broadcast. I don't know if you're familiar with the level system, but he was a former, the author, Jeffrey Johnson, he was an author. He's the author and a former student of Joe Morello's. And he's gonna be here, and we're gonna discuss his publication in depth, all right? And the guy's a great drummer, and the level system is not the stone system, nor the molar system. What it is the laws of physics. And that's the same thing with molar. You know, it's exaggerated like a whip. There's no whip, all right? It's a pump. There's a difference. You're manipulating the stick. It's the laws of physics. Same thing, you know, George Lawrence Stone, it's the laws of physics. You have sticking heights to get different volumes. You bring your stick in a certain position to nail the up and coming accents. Excuse me. So you want to label it as stone, you want to label it as molar, but the only one I really detest is the Adler system. That will hurt you. That will create tension, and because you're playing stiff and you're gripping the stick tightly, all right, it will cause carpal tunnel syndrome, the carpal tunnel syndrome or tendonitis. And the reason being, when you hit the drum or the drum pad, whichever it might be, or somebody in the head or whatever, okay, I don't keep, when I make impact, my stick is loose. I made impact and I stopped it. That was a controlled stroke. And we're going to get into that in a second. The sound is going outward, which is supposed to be. Sure, there's a slight, not grip, but a stop. Okay? I hold the stick tight enough, all right, so I have control of it. But it's loose enough so I'm not putting any tension in my arms. Okay, so I have a downstroke. That's the laws of physics. I'm starting here, okay, and I come down. Different sound. If I came from here, now here comes the levels or the control strokes or sticking heights. And this is the laws of physics. You want to label it stone, you want to label it molar, fine. They all grabbed it. But it's not their method, it's the laws of physics. I throw the stick down, boom, it comes right back. Mercy. And I obtain the sound. Look at the distance. And we're going to get into the distance. We're going to get into that. When that on the same day, there's going to be Alan Herman here. That man's brilliant. He'll explain this in depth and explain it you wouldn't believe. And we're going to do it. It's going to be a long session. That's March the 1st. But now getting back to the physics. I throw the stick down. That's an action. And the laws of physics say, for every action, there's an opposite reaction. I threw it down, it came up. That's the opposite reaction. Now, Actually, that's the full stroke. It was labeled a free stroke as well, which is okay. Full stroke or free stroke, okay? The next stroke is a downstroke. Now listen to the same sound. I'm coming because I'm executing from the same spot. Full stroke, downstroke. I sounded the same. I'm not grabbing the stick. I'm not squeezing the stick. I'm controlling the stick. There is a big difference. So I have full stroke or free stroke and downstroke. They sound the same. Now, next we have a tap. But look at the distance of the tip of my stick to the place of impact. It's a lighter sound, only because of the distance. Now that's the next stroke, it's tap. The next stroke is an upstroke to get into position, to nail, and to get into position, to nail whatever position you want to get into. You know, you want to get into, you're in a downstroke, so you want to get to the upstroke. So here, let me do that again. You have the downstroke, the downstroke, the tap, and the upstroke. Notice the tap and the upstroke sound the same. And then you have the free stroke. Downstroke, tap, up. So I take that into triplets. Down, tap, up. Down, tap. That's the way you play, naturally, whether you realize it or not. You get involved with, all right, labels, the molar, the stone, the adder. The one that is really bad for you is the Adler. He was a commercialized teacher trying to make a ton of money, and it worked for him. Okay, does that kind of explain certain things for you guys? Well, yeah, that is too many motions. All right, but that's, you know, if I did, for example, here's the levels in execution. Now, if I'm not going to play too fast. I'm having problems right now with my left hand, only because it's of a childhood injury when I was 12, and it started to flare up again. So I'm going to get that all taken care of. Who's this? Ken McCline, whatever your name. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce that. All right, anyway, let me just demonstrate what's natural. You're playing it. I break it down and explain to you what is occurring when you're executing whatever it might be that you're executing, so that you could reinforce what's natural and make it stronger. So for example, if I'm playing a single paradiddle, all right? No, let me play the single paradiddle first. I'm going to play a moderate speed. Like I said, I can't play up tempo like I usually do. But if I go like this, about right here. Now that's, if you see the heights of my sticks, they're all coming down from the same spot, and they're coming back up to the same spot. So here's what's occurring when you play paradiddles, okay? How you doing, David? Here's what occurs when I'm playing a paradiddle. I'm going to do it slow. Like if I took this, about right this tempo, I could blow through that, man, real fast, but that's like a performance platform, me showing you how good I can play it. That's not what this platform is about. It's an instructional platform. So I'm going to break that down somewhat to show you what's occurring. For example, if you took a video of that paradiddle, or this paradiddle playing here, and you had on the camera, you could take it down to slow motion. This is what occurs. And that's where we talked about the full stroke, the downstroke, the upstroke. The first stroke is an accent. You get a downstroke. Okay? The next stroke is an upstroke. Tap, tap. Downstroke, upstroke, tap, tap. Downstroke, upstroke, tap, tap. That's what's occurring. That's what you're doing, and you don't realize it. And they label it as molar. That's not molar. That's the level system. That's the laws of physics. Nobody owns it. Okay. Now, there's a couple new guys in here, which that's really good. So what I'm going to do, before I get back to the turnarounds using the double paradiddle, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Now, for you new guys, if you would like to be added to my mailing list, here's what happens. You will get in the beginning of the week the agenda that and the location of the broadcast, and occasionally some PDFs if needed. So I'm going to put my email address there, and if you want to be added to my mailing list, email me after the lesson and I'll add you. Okay? So here's my mail. So email me, okay? So, any questions about what I just went over? The difference between the adder, the molar, and the stone? Any questions before I go on to the double paradiddle with the turnarounds referencing from the stick control book? Gentlemen, any questions? Okay. Let's go to the turnarounds utilizing the double paradiddle. Now these are groupings of 6. If you have the Joe Morello or the Dave Stanek book, The Tables of Time, Mastering the Tables of Time, you'll see going from 5s to 6s to 7s. Oh, thank you, dear Mr. Otterson. Anyway, the groupings of 6. I subdivide the grouping. I'm going to play it as singles. If I play groupings of 6, now I got to play 6 notes equal to the distance of the 2 quarter notes. Here's the quarter notes. 1, 2, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot of counting. If I did the counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot of counting. So I subdivide the count. Instead of counting like that, I'm going to subdivide it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Do we understand that? So, that is a grouping of 6 with a right hand lead. Okay. Now, I'm going to do the groupings of 6 again, this time with a left hand lead. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Notice the level in there. I have 2 different sounds in that grouping of 6. I have an accented note and 5 unaccented notes. And I put myself in position to nail the up-and-coming accent. So now we have the groupings of 6 in single strokes with a right-hand lead. The groupings of 6 with the accent on the downbeat, left-hand lead. So the next thing with this lesson is you need to know the double paradiddle. And I refer to it as an alternating double paradiddle because that's what you're doing. You're playing it from the right to the left. Now watch me, but I'm going to play it not real fast, just a moderate tempo. 1. Now we're going to utilize the levels inside. So I have, again, 2 different sounds. I have an accent and 5 unaccented notes, but the sticking changes to the other side. So something else is going to occur. The level to put myself in position to nail that with an effortlessly. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay. So now we'll play the double paradiddle real slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Got it? So we have the single strokes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Right hand lead, then a left hand lead. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And then the double paradiddle, alternating. So that's what you need to understand before we continue on to the interpretation of stick control. Is there any questions to that, gentlemen? Just a reminder, gentlemen, tonight's lesson will be broadcast here on YouTube, but it's at 8 p.m. tonight, just tonight. Any questions on the groupings of 6, right-hand lead, left-hand lead, or double power, or alternating double paradiddle? Any questions? Okay. Now this is associated with the turnarounds groupings of 4. Now this is turnarounds groupings of 6. Okay, so we have groupings of 6, and now R is going to become, you're going to reference off the stick control book as R becomes this: 1 and 2 and 3 and. Left becomes left-hand lead, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay? Now, if there's rights or lefts in succession, the right is this. And the lefts are the left-hand lead. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Got it? So let's apply the formula to stick control. We're going to start with line 3 because all line 1 and line 2 is just an alternating double paradiddle. So we'll go to line 3 where you have 2 rights, 2 lefts. Now remember, the right is equal to this: 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now I have another right, but after that right I have a left, so I have to get in position to nail that. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Looky, looky. I'm in position effortlessly. No molar, no stone, forget Adler, the laws of physics. Simple. So line 3 now is going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Do we understand that, gentlemen? Come on, I need some questions, guys. No questions. Okay. Now I've been working on workbook number 2. Okay, so all the stuff's in workbook number 2. All right, what we're going to do this evening, because I have to get offline now. What we're going to do this afternoon, this evening at 8 p.m., remember, is what we're going to work from the workbook. One of the patterns in there we'll take apart, and we'll talk about how to develop sound, groove, not a groove, but these patterns like with different colors and different drums. Okay? So I'm going to have to end the lesson now. I wish I could stay online all day. If I got more questions, I could. Do we understand now the difference with the groupings of 4 turnarounds and the groupings of 6 turnarounds? That's the single paradiddle and the double paradiddle. We could do it with the paradiddle diddle as well, but I don't want to get everything confused. Okay, so guys, who's ever coming back tonight at 8 p.m. and you have the workbook, please request something and we'll work from it. Hey, Jim, did you understand everything we did today? Mr. Otterson, Robert, Dave, I can't pronounce your name. Kenneth Klein, I'm sorry. Anyway, we all understand everything. If that's the case, I really need to sign off. Okay, that sounds good. It is late. I apologize. It's just one night only at 8 p.m. and I apologize. Something had come up I cannot get out off of. You're welcome. Anybody wants to get onto my mailing list, there's my email. Email me. I'll put you on my mailing list. Okay? All right, guys. 8 p.m. tonight. Please. Por favor. Okay? Ugh. Mercy. Left hand. Please get better. Okay. Have a good rest of the day. Practice. If you have any problems with anything, there's my email. Email me. We'll talk about it. If you have Skype, get on Skype and talk about it. How's that sound, guys? Okay, Jim, Otterson, Robert, and all the new guys, and Dave. Have a good night. And get on my mailing list, Dave. You will get some PDFs. Not today, but in the course of the lessons, you'll get to know the times and locations, the agenda, and PDFs if necessary. Okay, guys, have a good rest of the day. Practice. And again, if you have any questions or there's anything you want to request to go over, please put it in my email, and we'll see if we could address it in the evening or next lesson. Okay.